Alright, gang, Roy Free Senior back. Today I want to talk about an article, at least we're focusing on this article from 1981, Natural Mr. America, Bob Galucci, and it's called The Multi-Use of the Cambered Bar. I've been rereading a lot of old Iron Man lately from the early 80s. Unfortunately, I don't have much more than my handful of stuff from the 80s. I have a few older ones, but I wish I had more. Anywho, Bob Galucci had, for a natural, had quite a physique, and he did some pretty innovative training. Um, Specialty bars have been around for a long time, and there's a whole bunch of different variations these days. Uh, Depending on what kind of gym you go to, you may or may not have access to many of them, but most gyms today at least have a safety squat bar. I don't see a cambered bar too much around. Um, and the cambered bar, really, that Bob is showing here is the one that is like square in the middle, not just bent like you see a Buffalo bar is just kind of looks like a bent Olympic bar, which was really what the first so-called cambered bars were. 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago, when this article was written, there weren't so many different kinds of bars. So Bob actually had the one that's in this article custom made after he had, in his Hartford Y that he trained at, he found one of these just bent Olympic bars. Now, Bob in this article states that he was using a bar like he had this one custom made, but it previously had existed, he said, starting in the early 70s, which is when Mike MacDonald started using the bar, uh, not exclusively, but a lot with his bench press training. And he was just a phenomenal bench presser. Many consider him one of the best bench pressers in the world. Had a rivalry with Larry Pacifico for a few years there, like 74, 75, 76. Um, but Mike was pretty good at changing weight classes. Had records in the 81s, the 98s, the 220s, and the 242s. And apparently, was even talking about moving up at some point to the super heavies, where he thought he could do over six. Um, which Jim Williams at the time had a much bigger bench, but at that time it was weird because they didn't have like official world records. But Mike MacDonald, like, you look at the guy, uh, when he first really started training, he was in like a state meet and he weighed like 170 something and he benched well in the threes, which is pretty good back in those days. And I don't even think they had shirts at that specific time. But then, then he obviously got into national competition and was doing well. Now you will hear that Mike MacDonald invented the cambered bar. Now, depending on your definition of the cambered bar, if we talk about the square one, it's not 100% clear that he actually invented it. He may have that particular one. Probably more likely he had one custom made to fit his shoulders and everything and marketed that one. Now, that may indeed have been the one that other companies then just kind of copied. I don't know if he had a patent on it or whatever, but he is credited with making that type of cambered bar. Now, is it possible that some lifters, bodybuilders back in the 80s, having seen Galucci's article and the different ways of using a cambered bar, maybe they got the idea that that particular bar could be improved upon for specific purposes, and maybe led to some of the bars that we have today. But obviously, There's different types of safety squat bars and buffalo bars and cambered bars and Swiss bars, easy curl bars. Then you have your hex bar with, for deadlifting, trap bar as they call it, which is kind of a variation of Peary Rader's original squat circle. And heck, if you put some straps on a trap bar, you might be able to do something like the squat circle, the magic circle as they called it. Anywho, that's about it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll subscribe. I'm trying to bring you some good content once, a couple times, 2-3 times a week. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.